My name's Szilva. I'm a retired physician and I'm a emeritus faculty from the University of Vermont College of Medicine, where I taught gross anatomy and taught in the neuroscience course. And I believe I have some expertise on the effect of noise on people's health long term. So people think, oh, it's only 6 minutes a day, it's not going to make any difference. And the truth is that it does make a difference. So how scientists decide what's true or not true is gathering data. And there's lots of data to be gathered. So you look at all the data cumulative over years and years and years, and you figure out, oh, is this true because a plethora of data supports that there's damage? Or is it not true because the balance of data supports that there's no damage? And it's quite clear that exposure to even the current noise that we have, let alone more, is damaging to our health. And it's especially damaging to our children. We've known this for a very long time. Studies have been going on since the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And I want to tell you about two studies that really kind of sum it up for me. In 1975, a researcher studied the effects of elevated train tracks next to a school. And so the children who were on the side of the school that were closer to the train tracks versus the children that were on the other side of the track. Same socioeconomic status, same, area where they live, basically same kind of kids. And it was quite clear that the students exposed to the noise were up to a year behind the other students in their learning. Their learning was slowed. Interesting enough, the school was like, oh gosh. So they abated the noisiest classrooms and brought this same researcher back later and said, study now. And that difference was eliminated. When you talk about noise, airport noise specifically, and we're talking ordinary airport noise, not noise like military planes, ordinary municipal airports. In the 2002, a study was published. It's called the Munich Airport Study. And what happened was the city of Munich decided to move their airport. So before they did, they studied the children close to the airport and their learning levels. And they found out that, closer you live to the airport, the more your learning is impaired. Short-term memory, long-term memory, reading, comprehension, all those kinds of things were studied, and it was worse with the kids close to the airport. Then they built a new airport, and they studied the kids where the new airport was going to be. And those kids were on track. After the new airport was built, old airports closed, they go back and study the kids. The kids that are now no longer exposed to that noise are doing better. The kids exposed to the noise are doing worse. This is pretty clear. And to me, this is crystal clear. So this affects kids' learning. The other thing that people talk about is the economic impact of, well, if we don't have these planes here, we're going to lose all these jobs. The economy of the airport area is going to suffer. Look at these kids. Look at kids with the impaired learning. What would those kids' jobs be? What kind of employment would they have if their learning wasn't impaired? This is going to affect lifelong earning, lifelong contribution to our country. That has an economic cost, but it's hard to measure. We like things in this country that's easy to measure. So then let's talk about other effects of sound. Sound of this nature affects blood pressure. Many studies, you live close to this kind of sound, your blood pressure goes up. We all know blood pressure, the higher your blood pressure, all else being equal, the shorter you live. The amount of heart attacks is increased, the amount of strokes is increased. So aside from the human tragedy of these, what's the cost of somebody having to go to a nursing home a year sooner? Quite a lot. How about 2 years sooner? How about 3 years sooner? And look at all of the people involved. Again, hard to study, but absolutely true. You raise the blood pressure, people have these diseases. There are lots of studies that show other kinds of behavior. People don't behave as well around this kind of noise. There was a study, a very interesting study, about, and this isn't so scientific, you know, but it was interesting. So they set up this situation where somebody's walking along the street and kind of trips and drops everything. And people help this person. They help pick up. The people around come and assist. They set up the exact same situation, only they have a jackhammer going across the street. Nobody helps. So it's interesting. And then lastly, let's talk about hearing loss, because everybody's going, oh, I've lived next to the airport, my hearing's fine. An N of 1 means nothing in science. Okay. This is the business end of your inner ear for hearing. This is how it works. So you have about 5,000 of these little cells in your ear, and triple the amount of these little cells. These cells have little hairs that stick into this membrane. When this membrane goes up, the hairs bend one way. When it goes down, they bend another way. When the noise is too loud, those hairs just get torn off. And when that happens, that cell's gone forever. The other way that these cells die is they get exposed to reactive oxygen species. And that's, you know, but then when these cells are stressed by too much noise, and that's less noise than what it takes to shear them off, then they emit chemicals that, oh, I'm under stress, and other cells look, ooh, too much stress, I'm killing you, and they're gone. And this happens to all of us over time. There is an age-related hearing loss. The number of cells over time decrease. We all lose some hearing when we're old. The kind of noise that they're talking about, the kind of noise that Mike O'Brien measured on his iPad, that 114 decibel level that he had on his not very accurate instrument iPad, that is at the cutoff point of where you should never be exposed to that kind of sound, no matter how brief, because it causes immediate hearing loss. So, and what he had on his iPad was about 100 decibels for the F-16s without the afterburner. So we're already being exposed to noise that over time is going to kill these hair cells. Now, it may not be enough that you can measure it tomorrow or even next year. But what's going to happen is somebody that would have inadequate hearing at 75 is probably going to have inadequate hearing earlier. 70, 65. Somebody that would have had inadequate hearing at 65, now maybe 50. They lose their job. They can't communicate with their friends. You know, this sound of freedom, good luck hearing that. Good luck hearing that later, because you won't be able to. So this is the kind of thing that I'm worried about. I'm a physician. I deal in science. I deal in long-term health effects. This plane is going to hurt us. I don't see how these planes protect us if they're going to hurt us.